The last words Lena had spoken to Clara were about a dress. A hideous, shimmering mistake of a bridesmaid dress which Clara, the bride, had insisted upon. "It makes me look like a cheap lampshade," Lena had snapped, tossing the satin heap onto the floor of Clara's immaculate living room. Clara, usually the calm, steady one, had finally fractured. "It's one day, Lena. You always have to make everything a drama. You can't just be happy for me, can you?" The fight escalated quickly, fueled by years of unspoken resentments. Lena's envy of Clara's structured life, Clara's silent judgment of Lena's wild spontaneity. The dress became a flimsy stand-in for every difference, every slight, every unresolved childhood rivalry. Lena walked out, ripping a small framed photo of them at the beach off the wall and leaving it shattered on the hardwood floor. That was 20 years ago. The silence became a stubborn, heavy thing. Birthdays passed, then Christmases. Clara moved to the suburbs and raised 2 children. Lena stayed in the city, opening a small, eccentric art gallery. They lived parallel lives separated by a widening emotional canyon. They'd occasionally see a fleeting mention of the other on social media, a cousin's wedding photo, a newspaper blurb about the gallery. But neither would break the silence. The memory of the fight, silly as it was, had calcified into rigid pride. Then came the call, not from Clara, but from their Aunt Beatrice. "It's Mom, girls. She's going into surgery next week." Lena stood in the sterile hallway of the hospital, clutching a wilting bouquet of lilies, the smell of disinfectant sharp in her nose. She looked up just as a woman with familiar, determined eyes rounded the corner. Clara. She looked older, softer around the edges, with silver threads woven into her dark hair. She wore sensible slacks and carried a large, worn tote bag. For a long, agonizing moment, they just stared. 20 years vanished, replaced by the ghost of 2 girls standing in a childhood bedroom. "Lena," Clara finally said, her voice a little husky. "Clara." The air was thick with things that couldn't be said, not here, not now. Lena looked at the floor, then back at her sister's face, tracing the familiar lines of worry that mirrored their mother's. "You should know," Clara said quietly, her eyes locking onto Lena's. "They said she kept asking for both of us before they took her up." It wasn't an apology, it wasn't a demand. It was a simple, factual statement that cut through the years of pride like a scalpel. They had both failed their mother and each other. Lena dropped the flowers on a nearby chair. She walked the 3 steps to her sister and, without a word, reached out. Clara didn't hesitate. They embraced, not with the quick, formal hug of strangers, but with a deep, shaky desperation that was part grief, part relief. It was a painful collision of 2 lives that should never have separated. "The dress was hideous, by the way," Lena managed, her voice muffled in Clara's shoulder. Clara laughed, a sound like cracking ice. "I know, and I haven't bought anything satin since." The wall was down. It hadn't been a dress or a fight that mattered. It was the simple, undeniable fact that they were sisters, and for 20 years they had been operating with a piece of themselves missing. Now, standing together in the hospital corridor, they were whole again, ready to face whatever came next. Do you think they should bring up their childhood memories with their mother, or focus only on her recovery?